Hello and welcome, I'm Carl the Landscape Guy. Great to have you back today. In the last video I showed how we built this patio. Today we're going to design the rest of this small backyard. To protect the new pavers, we're laying a thick liner. We had already stored excess soil here during the paving work, and in the following I'll show you how we transform this pile of dirt into a cozy water stream. First, the turf has to be removed. Next, I'll roughly model the hill to give it a more natural shape. Using a drainage cube as a water reservoir has proven effective. This is first put together. Now a hole needs to be dug in the right place for the cube. I'll use the excavated material to raise the level all around to the right height. Our hill is already big enough, so we'll dispose of any excess soil. The hole needs to be slightly larger than the drainage box, as the fabric and liner still need to fit in. I check whether the hole is deep enough yet. No, it needs to be deeper. If the depth is right, I'll level the area below. I make sure that no small stones are sticking out of the ground. Now the protective fabric is laid in the hole. Then the streamliner can be rolled out. I chose a thick EPDM liner because it is very flexible and offers maximum durability. A fabric is placed over the liner before the drainage box is inserted. Now we roll the liner up to the box so that we can fill and compact the gap around the drainage box. Next we start placing the rocks. I hand-picked and cleaned about 1.5 tons of sandstone. This will be the biggest rock. It forms the lowest weir and will be the central rock later. Since it is a wide weir stone, it must be installed nice and straight. Once it is in the right position, I look for rocks to go to the right and left of it. These will later ensure that the water does not flow to the sides of the center rock. Now we fold back the liner and model the next weir. Here we want to create a small waterfall. I have placed a flat red weir stone on top of two larger stones to create a greater difference in height. This will then be framed on both sides. Above it, we want to build the next pool, for which I am modeling the riverbed accordingly. I make sure that all the cascades are designed differently and blend together. This will make the stream look more natural later on. I still need a bank edge made of taller rocks here. It's been raining a bit and the liner is wet, so I'm using this blower tool to dry the liner before sealing the weirs with foam. I use the foam to glue the liner to the weir. This will ensure that the water flows smoothly over the rocks later. All used materials and tools are linked in the video description. The foam should only be used in the right places and in as little quantity as possible. Moss creates a natural look and is glued directly into the stone cracks with the foam. Now I can continue up here. We now move on to the spring. I have an idea on how I want it to look, so let's see if I can get it done. It's like a puzzle every time since every rock is different. The water should feed the stream over this rock. Behind it, I'll create a small pool out of rocks where the pump hose will be foamed in. The spring isn't finished yet, but the foam needs to dry, so I'm creating the bank here. I'll lay the hose all the way to our box. Excess liner can be trimmed off. I always leave at least 15 centimeters or have a foot in case anything needs to be changed later. I cut a piece of weed control fabric which I lay down under the liner. This is what the customer wanted, as he didn't want any weeds around the stream. So we'll do it this way later around the entire stream. For the lighting in this stream, I'm using these mini LED lamps. You can use whatever brand you like as long as they are good quality. You don't want to have to pull the cable out later because of defective lamps. I'd like to point out that none of the products in this video are sponsored. I bought all the materials and tools myself. You can support this video by buying what you need over the links in the video description. I look for a good spot for each light. These LEDs are nice and small and easy to hide. I definitely want to add light to the spring. One will also go here for the waterfall. We'll install the third light later down at the center rock. I'm running the cable to this waterproof electric box. Now that the lines have been laid in this area, the slope can be shaped to accommodate the weed control fabric. The small plastic nails ensure that the fabric stays in place. Now I can finish building the spring. I want it to look like the water flows out of a crack. To do this, I'll place 2 small stones on the right and left. A rock will be placed on top of them almost like a cover, so that the water is directed forward over the rock instead of upward. I actually wanted to install 2 boxes from the start. Unfortunately, the second one just arrived late, but we will get it in there. The stream pump is going to go in here, so I'm sawing a hole. This works well with the cordless jigsaw. To protect the liner, I'm wrapping fleece around the box. The fabric can easily be glued with the foam. We enlarged the hole accordingly and left the liner long enough here. To ensure the water can flow smoothly from one box to the other, I'm cutting a hole into the fabric here. The box fits snugly inside, and we now have a total water reserve of 550 litres or 145 gallons for this stream. All gaps are backfilled, and now the hose can be run to the pump. The stainless steel clamp is a must. Everything is safely stowed away at the bottom of the box. The second box has made the stream longer. I want to take advantage of this and glue a few flat sandstone slabs onto the fabric below the center rock. Here the water should flow visibly a little further before disappearing into the boxes. This rock fits well over the pump hole. I'm now working my way around the stream, creating the edges that will later form the transition to the planting bed. At the same time, we're filling the drainage boxes with tap water. There's already enough water in them for a first test run, and since I can't wait for that, I have to plug it in right away. I already like the spring, and the rapids that follow it are working well. The next pool is filling, and now we will see whether we've done a good job. The water runs evenly over the stone to the waterfall. It looks good, and the large rock, which we placed first, is also flowing very evenly. There's still a lot missing, but for now I'm very satisfied. I'm checking to make sure no water is leaking out and making sure the liner extends far enough above the water level. Now it's time to start planting around the stream. First, a Japanese maple as a solitary tree in a central location. I like how its fine, feathery foliage gently hovers over the rocks. This golden yellow dwarf sedge matches the color of the sandstone, and its grassy character is a good fit for the water. I always use several of these grasses to create a more harmonious effect. Around the perimeter, we're also planting millet grass, dwarf pines, lavender, oregano, rockseed, juniper, and sedum species. I selected plants that fit the rock garden. The grasses provide a light reedy feel, and the pines add a minimal alpine flair. To match the sandstone used, I purchased 16 to 32 millimeters or ½ inch to an inch size sandstone gravel. It's definitely a good idea to rinse off any dust before installing the gravel in the stream, otherwise the water will be dirty for quite a while. The entire liner in the stream will be covered with a nice layer of sandstone gravel. Gravel will also be spread around the riverbed. Beds close to the new terrace will also be filled with sandstone gravel. I like to use the same material multiple times in the garden, which creates a better visual connection between the different areas. I need to place a finer mesh on the box to prevent the small stones from falling into the box. This way the mesh boxes can be completely hidden and the water will simply disappear between the stones later. The stream is now nicely embedded in the bed. You could also cover the entire fabric with gravel, but that could easily lead to a rocky desert. Therefore, we're using coarse pine bark mulch all around. It makes sense to rinse all surfaces again and water the plants at the same time. Then I fill the boxes to the top. And finally, the time has come. The finished stream can be turned on for the first time. That's always the best part of every job. Building this water feature was a lot of fun again, and I'll show you the lighting at dusk in a moment. A few weeks later, the plants have already grown. The millet grass in the background has grown considerably, and the lighting really comes into its own at dusk. Around 9,000 litres or 2,400 gallons are pumped through this stream every hour, and the water has become beautifully clear. Nothing stands in the way of a cozy barbecue evening with a glass of wine by the stream. I hope you enjoyed this video and the project. I had a lot of fun, and it's great that you followed along. Please leave me a comment and tell me what you think of the stream. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. I'm Carl, the Landscape Guy.